Welcome into Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you. Great to have you along once again. The show brought to you today by AMC Urgent Care. If you need urgent care, AMC, they can get you all squared away. It's extended hours to help people right here in the community, so make sure you check out AMC Urgent Care. With us today, defensive coordinator, wrestling coach, but we're going to stick more to football today. Justin Roland, coach, good to have you
good
along.
to see you. Thanks for having me.
And just let's get right into it. Football-wise, uh, things have looked better, but still not where you want it to be. Still looking for that first win, and it doesn't get any easier this week with a team that a lot of people consider one of the best in the state, Deer Creek, coming to town.
Absolutely. They're returning, I think, state semifinalists, and it's a start of district play, which is always good. But our first three games for us defensively, for sure, we kind of use it as a gauge. Like, of course, you want to win them, but find out who your weapons are. And so it's going to be tough. They got a really good kid at quarterback, that is only a junior. He's a lot like Tay. Gets out of the pocket, throws the ball well. It should be a fun challenge for us. So.
Yeah, and go back to those first three games. A lot of people, they've expected defense. You've had a lot of returners every year. This was kind of a different year for you because you had two of your starters. That was it returning. Two good ones with Xavier Parker and Hudson Haas. But a lot of these guys, they didn't get significant minutes. They played, but not significant minutes. So there's a learning curve going on
Absolutely. I mean, and you try and develop, that crew last year had playmakers, right? So as a DC, you kind of figure out who those are, and then you try and get them in position to make it. And we're inching closer and closer every game. I think you've seen that last week, where you give up 21 in the first half, only give up 7 in the second half. So they're coming, but like you said, they're all new. Even the ones that played some, they're still green. They haven't played a lot. So it's 4 games of experience coming for the ones that are new.
Yeah, let's go level by level. I mean, defensive end, Hudson Haas, of course, but Avon Hobbs is a transition to that position this year. He keeps on growing and getting better and better, it seems like, not just every game, every day.
I'll tell you what, he's one of those kids that athletically he's as good as anybody that we have at the school. He's a track kid, runs hard. He's learning the position, but his speed and what he's able to create, the pressure he's able to put on you is what's going to turn him loose. And then at the nose, we're kind of in transition. We've had Ramsey Ramirez there. He's been there. Mari's going to get some more game. Noah Thomas could be an absolute stud for us. We just got to get him going. And then at defensive end, of course, Hudson. We're going to try to lance our bone out some there this week. Jeremy Payne's kind of making that transition, kind of Micah McBride-esque.
Yeah.
He's making that transition up front, but that's the front for sure, and they're coming.
Yeah, and 3-3-5 is the defense, but it's kind of turned into, when I've watched, a little bit more multiple. And I know that's the beauty of 3-3-5 is you can sneak a linebacker down. But with the 3-3-5, whether you go multiple or not, there's a lot put on your linebackers.
Absolutely.
And that was across the board, a lot of new guys in those positions. And you're starting to see them come to their own a little bit. And you're starting to see them understand the game slow down a little bit, too.
Absolutely. And to be honest, the first Guthrie for sure and Sand Springs are good tests for a linebacker as far as physicality, and you got Jackson Goddard. He probably played the most last year coming back. Of course, he got hurt, if you'll remember, in this game last year, and it really hurt us because he's starting to come into his own, but he probably had the best game he's had for us last week against Sand Springs. Riley McQueen also really, really good in coverage, and he's figuring out the run game, but solid. Antoine Relbeck, which I'm not sure if we'll have him, sophomore, getting to play a lot. Lance Arbona, mentioned him going down some, and Jeremy Payne, and we're playing all of them. If you'll notice, we're kind of running in and out, running different fronts, and when the fronts change, their job kind of changes. But Jackson Goddard's a kid that you got to look out for because he's coming.
Yeah, I really think Jackson is starting. I talked to him last week about it just slowing down a little bit. So I think he has a chance to be a really, really good linebacker, and he's getting better every week. Now, go to the secondary. Let's start with the corners. Xavier, what can you say about him? I mean, the kid's good. He's not afraid to go up and hit somebody. And on the other side, Buyer Grossline, the transfer in from Montana, it's kind of the same way with him. He's not afraid to, you got corners that ain't afraid to shy away from some contact.
No, absolutely not. X-Man, when he wants to, he can be one of the best in the state. It's that simple. Tremendously athletic, can jump, can run, can be physical, can tackle. I got on him a little bit last week about his tackling, then he comes up, makes a couple plays. But X is rock solid. Brian Grossline's he's a lot like Caden Anderson in the sense that he's a dream to coach. He works hard. He doesn't have much to say, gives you his best effort, and he can run. And I don't think people have gotten to see much of that, but he can run, and it saved us in a lot of ways, as far as finding the next guy. And then the next guy up is a kid, Tanner Otto. Yeah. Probably get some burn this week. And just a solid kid, but a good group, good athletic group.
Yeah, and then you go to safeties. And then another 3-3-5, once again, safeties are so important too, especially Sand Springs threw the ball maybe more than we thought with the backup quarterback, but you got a team where Deer Creek last year, what beat you was those big plays and those deep plays. So this safety, it's the same time as the linebackers. They're kind of learning the game, getting more significant snaps. Yes. But you got two guys, I think, that have really stepped up back there. And, of course, you got a whole crew of them. But Miller and Garcia have really stepped up, and I thought have done a good job. Do they have their bust at times that are frustrating for a coach? But that's part of the growing, right?
Right, absolutely. No, Adriel and PJ, they couldn't have had better. They've learned so much. Everything's happened to them. From the Guthrie game to the Sand Springs game, they've seen a lot in 3 games. And you got to remember, Adriel's just a sophomore. He just had a birthday. PJ's a junior, but hadn't played much, and wasn't playing safety. He was playing corner. But when you watch their ability to run and to diagnose things and make plays, they're coming along. The other kid at strong safety, which he may be playing the best football for us, is Tegan Hodson.
Yeah.
He's been a blessing,
He's been all over the field the last couple of games. I was saving Tegan because I thought during Sand Springs especially, Tegan really asserted himself in a big way.
It's crazy. We've been really fortunate with that position. You go 3 years as Zimmer Sheed, who's one of the best kids I've ever coached, and then you go to Jason Nieberger, who's as tough as they get, one of the best ones, and then Tegan takes a 2-year break and comes out there, and he's very, very instinctual. You teach Tegan something once, and then you say, hey, go play with it, and it's worked out perfect for us.
Yeah. All right. Let's turn our attention a little bit on Deer Creek, and I did mention it. Last year, that was a game the offense finally they come to the live second half of Sand Springs last year, but they continued that into Deer Creek. And I think your defense learned a lot about themselves in that game last year because Deer Creek probably had more weapons than what anybody you saw. Sand Springs had some weapons, but Deer Creek was a state semifinal football team last year. They got a kid at quarterback, Grady Adamson, that is getting looks at a D1 level. A lot of coaches like him on a higher level. They got guys to throw to. We won't get on the defensive side of the ball for them because that's not your deal. It's the offensive side that you're looking at and watching film. But this is a tough team, and once again, it seems like you've had 3 games. Every game's been kind of a little bit different test. This is another different type of test this week, but it may come against maybe the best offense you've seen.
Absolutely. As far as throwing the ball, like Enid really tested the single receiver side, right? They were going to work that. It's kind of what they do. This kid, he throws the ball well, but he gets out of the pocket and scrambles and extends the play really, really well. And the receivers, they got a really good kid in the slot, number 16, kind of does it all for him, mixes it up. But if you remember last year, man, we busted coverages, people running wide open. I think if we can challenge them in the secondary and then get after him up front, we also sacked him 5 times last year. So there's some things that we think we'll be able to do, but it's going to be a fun challenge.
No, and that was the thing last year that stood out to me. I mean, you were a team, I don't even know if you had a sack going into that game, and then it was just an explosion, and that continued throughout the year. And that's where I go. The defense found itself. Yes, you had busted coverage. You were able to correct a lot of that going into that stretch where we won games. Mm-hmm. But the ability to get to the quarterback, it's like it clicked for those guys during Deer Creek last year.
Absolutely. You know, we have a blitz package that we were testing out, and kind of got it going, and it started working, and you start realizing that the kids that you got, some of them aren't as good standing still. Some of them are better going forward and not reading as much, and of course those things are in, and that's going to be the game plan, is get after this quarterback, and then don't, if they beat you, make them beat you. Don't beat yourself in the back end.
No doubt about it. Well, Coach, appreciate it. Anything else before we let you go? I do want to mention, it was good seeing Gabe on the sideline. I mean, he's gotten quite big, and I know we've talked about on the radio side, not here on Coach's Corner, but Gabe doing well at K-State, and I mean, there's a few things happening. Who knows? He may find the field before long.
Yeah, he's growing for sure. I think he's adjusting to the fact that it's 24/7. Like
it's a job.
Yes, there's not much break, and I think he really likes the staff there. You know, during the game, he had all the kids that weren't with the team in Missouri had to do a Zoom call, with their coaches. First time I've ever heard of that. But it just kind of shows to the attention to detail they have at Kansas State. And hopefully, if he gets out there, he does the same.
Yeah, well, we've talked about it on the field, off the field. He's going to play eventually up there, I think. He's loving it, right? That's the main thing, is he's loving it.
He's liking it, and school's tough, He's pre-med kid, so he's hooked up in the classroom. He told me the other day he did more homework in the first month than he did his whole career in high school. So that's an adjustment. But the football part of it, I think, is kind of a release, once you get out of the classroom, and it's a good program. They do things right, so he's having fun.
Pre-med and college football, let me tell you. I've been around college athletics enough to know that is a tough thing to do, and that's a testament to the kid. I know you can be more of a father than a coach now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's nice, too.
Absolutely.
I'm sure Gabe's liking that, too.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd probably shock them because I'm real hands-off, I want him to, it's got to be him. I think kids do better when they take ownership of stuff. So he's got to own that. And I'll support him, but he's got to own it, and I'll be there to support him.
Well, sounds good. Well, I appreciate the time. Tell Gabe we're keeping up with him and hope everything's going well, as it sounds like
Absolutely.
it is. All right, that's going to do it for our Coach's Corner. Today it's been brought to you by AMC Urgent Care. I want to say thanks to Coach Justin Roland with us. Thanks to Chris behind the camera, and we'll catch you next time on the next episode of Coach's Corner. For Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and go Cats.